There comes a moment when even the strongest man runs out of words. For Bruce Willis, the actor who built his legacy on quick wit, laughter, and fearless strength, that moment has arrived. Once the indestructible hero of Die Hard, he now faces a battle that no one can see, one that steals not just speech, but identity itself. Behind closed doors, his family gathers, his wife Emma, his ex-wife Demi Moore, and his 5 daughters, trying to hold on to the fragments of the man who once held them together. In 2025, Bruce Willis is 70 years old. His body remains strong, his smile sometimes flickers, but his mind is fading into silence. What began as small changes, a pause in a sentence, a missed line on a movie set, has become a full-scale retreat from the world he once commanded. This is not just the decline of a Hollywood icon. It's the quiet heartbreak of a family learning to say goodbye piece by piece, without knowing when the last goodbye will come. The first signs. The story began long before the public knew anything. Around 2018, cast and crew members noticed that something was off with Bruce Willis. On movie sets, he started forgetting lines, missing cues, and asking simple questions like, "Why am I here?" For an actor known for precision and professionalism, it was unsettling. During the filming of Hard Kill in 2020, co-star Lala Kent recalled how Bruce fired a prop gun at the wrong time. Twice. No one was injured, but the incident sent shockwaves through the crew. Something was wrong, but no one dared to say it out loud. At home, Emma Heming Willis began to notice subtle changes. His speech pattern was shifting, words coming slower, sentences trailing off. Because Bruce had struggled with a childhood stutter, she assumed it was just that old difficulty returning. "Never in a million years," she later told Town and Country in 2024, "would I have thought it was dementia." Doctors initially gave vague answers. The first diagnosis, aphasia, came in March 2022. It explained the communication issues, but not the emotional distance that followed. Sometimes Bruce would sit quietly for hours, lost in thought, unable to express what was happening inside his mind. Then, in February 2023, the truth arrived. Frontotemporal dementia, or FTD, a rare aggressive brain disease that erodes language, empathy, and self-awareness. For Emma, the diagnosis was both devastating and clarifying. FTD whispers, "It doesn't shout," she said. It's hard to know where Bruce ended and the disease began. What followed was a slow unraveling. The man who once embodied courage on screen was now slipping away in real life, replaced by confusion and silence. Yet the hardest part wasn't what Bruce Willis was losing. It was what his family realized they could never get back. The family unites. When the diagnosis became public in early 2023, the world reacted with shock, but inside the Willis family, grief had already settled in. Emma Heming Willis, now both wife and caregiver, tried to balance heartbreak with duty. She called it a family disease because every person who loved Bruce had to adjust their lives around his new reality. For months, she slept lightly, waking up to check if he was safe, afraid he might wander or fall. She canceled social outings, stopped hosting friends, and quietly withdrew from the outside world. "I thought I had to do it alone," she later confessed. "I didn't know you could ask for help." It was Scout Willis, one of Bruce's daughters from his marriage to Demi Moore, who finally confronted her. "I'm more worried about you than about Dad," she told Emma. That sentence broke the wall. Emma sought therapy, was treated for depression, and eventually brought professional caregivers into the home. It was the first step toward healing, but it came with guilt. The feeling that letting others care for Bruce meant she was somehow giving up. Meanwhile, the family drew closer than ever before. Demi Moore, who divorced Bruce in 2000 but remained a constant presence, called it an unusual but beautiful family. She and Emma began working together, coordinating care schedules, family visits, and therapy sessions for Bruce. Their daughters, Rumor, Scout, and Tallulah, rotated between helping with their younger half-sisters Mabel and Evelyn and spending quiet hours beside their father. By his 70th birthday in March 2025, the house was full again. They gathered for cake, music, and laughter, brief echoes of the life they once knew. Demi posted photos with the caption, "He's still here, and so is our love." Emma wrote, "Flood him with love. He'll feel it." For a few moments that day, Bruce smiled his old smile, that familiar twinkle returning to his eyes before fading again. It was those fleeting moments that kept them going. The seconds when the man behind the disease appeared, reminding them of who he had been. A father who once carried them on his shoulders, a husband who never stopped making them laugh. The silent decline. As 2024 unfolded, Bruce Willis's decline grew more visible, not to the public, but to those who loved him most. He was still physically strong, even mobile, yet his world was shrinking. Emma described it simply: his brain is failing him. The words struck like a blade of truth. The man who once commanded movie sets with authority could now barely finish a sentence. The language was slipping away, one word at a time, like sand through open fingers. There were still moments of clarity, a smile, a laugh, a spark, but they came less often and vanished just as quickly. "Not days, but moments," Emma told ABC's Diane Sawyer during her 2025 interview. "He has such a hearty laugh. Sometimes you'll see that twinkle in his eye, or that smirk, and for a second it's him again. Then it goes." Those glimpses were both a blessing and a curse, small reminders of what had been lost. By late 2024, the family realized they could no longer provide the level of care Bruce needed. It was Emma, after countless sleepless nights, who made the hardest decision of her life: to move Bruce into a private residence designed for dementia care with trained professionals by his side 24 hours a day. The house was quiet, sunlit, and safe. But it wasn't home. Emma's decision sparked rumors online that she had abandoned him, a claim she called both cruel and ignorant. "Bruce would have wanted our daughters to grow up surrounded by laughter," she explained, "not in a home built around sickness." Behind the headlines, the truth was much simpler. Emma still visited every day. The girls brought drawings, stories, and music. Bruce, though often unresponsive, would sometimes reach out his hand or smile faintly when they entered the room. His family learned a new form of communication, through touch, through presence, through love, that no longer required words. For Bruce's eldest daughters, the pain was layered with guilt. Tallulah Willis, in her Vogue essay, wrote that she once mistook her father's distance for disinterest. "I thought he didn't care anymore," she said. But it wasn't him pulling away. It was the disease. That understanding came too late, leaving only forgiveness and the fragile peace of acceptance. The strength of love. By 2025, the Willis family had settled into a rhythm, one built on love, patience, and acceptance. "It is what it is," Emma often said, quoting a phrase common in the FTD community. To outsiders, those words might sound cold, but for her, they were a form of grace, a reminder to stop fighting what she couldn't change. "It grounds me," she explained. "It helps me come back to the present, to what is real." That present, though fragile, was still filled with meaning. Every week, Emma and the girls visited Bruce at his care home. They sat with him, held his hands, and read aloud messages from fans all over the world. Rumor brought her daughter, little Luetta, Bruce's first grandchild. In June 2023, she had posted a photo of Bruce holding the baby for the first time. "Seeing my father hold my daughter was something I'll treasure forever," she wrote. "His sweetness and love were still there, pure and beautiful." 2 years later, That photo still lived on her phone, a quiet reminder that even as the disease took everything else, love remained untouched. Demi Moore continued to visit often. She described their relationship now as a different kind of family, but still family. In a 2025 episode of the Oprah podcast, she praised Emma's strength and honesty. "There is no roadmap for this," Demi said. "Emma had to figure it all out. She's shown us what true caregiving looks like, and the importance of taking care of yourself, too." Their bond, once complicated, had evolved into something profound. Two women united by their devotion to the same man. And then there was Tallulah, the most introspective of the five daughters. She began sharing her own reflections online, using writing as a way to cope. On one Father's Day post, she wrote, "I wish I could ask him more questions. I wish I could tell him about my life. But I'm still grateful. I can still hug him, still kiss his cheek. That's enough through all of it." The family refused to let despair define them. They learned to love Bruce as he was, not as the hero of Die Hard, but as a man still teaching them the quiet power of resilience, the hidden courage. As the months passed, the story of Bruce Willis became less about loss and more about endurance. His wife and daughters often said that even in silence, Bruce was teaching them something profound: how to keep showing up. "What Bruce teaches our girls goes far beyond words," Emma said during a Father's Day tribute in 2025. "Resilience, unconditional love, and the quiet strength in simply being present. Those lessons became the heart of their lives, shaping how each member of the family faced the reality of his decline." Bruce himself no longer knew he was sick. Emma revealed during an interview with News Nation that he was unaware of his condition, a small mercy in an otherwise cruel disease. "It's a blessing and a curse," she said softly. "He doesn't realize he has dementia, so he's not afraid." The words were bittersweet. His mind no longer recognized the truth, but his family found peace in knowing he was spared from fear. Behind closed doors, Emma began writing. What started as scattered notes about caregiving and exhaustion became her memoir, The Unexpected Journey. Published in September 2025, it chronicled not just her husband's illness, but her transformation from a wife to a caretaker, from despair to acceptance. "There were nights I'd lie awake listening for him to breathe," she wrote. "I thought I had to do it all myself. I didn't know I was allowed to need help." The book struck a chord with readers worldwide, giving a voice to millions of caregivers who silently endure the same heartbreak. Meanwhile, the Willis daughters carried on his legacy in their own ways. Rumor, now a mother herself, found healing in her child. Scout devoted time to music and advocacy for mental health, while Tallulah turned her vulnerability into strength, using her writing to educate others about dementia and love. Demi, always the quiet anchor, continued to appear in interviews reminding the world that Bruce is still here and we still love him. Each of them had learned that courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes it's a whisper, a hand held, a small smile, a fleeting moment of clarity. And for Bruce Willis, that quiet courage became the last great role of his life. The long goodbye. In the summer of 2025, as rumors about Bruce Willis's worsening condition spread online, Emma Heming Willis took to Instagram to set the record straight. "If you ever come across a story that begins with sources close to the family, stop reading," she wrote firmly. "Giving a platform to anonymous speculation is not only careless, it's harmful." It was her way of drawing a line, of protecting the dignity of a man who had spent decades giving everything to the world. The truth was simple. Bruce was stable. Not better, not worse. Just existing in a fragile balance between presence and absence. For his family, stable was a word that hurt and comforted at the same time. It meant Bruce was still here, yet fading all the same. Emma described his state to ABC News as a great health overall. It's just his brain that is failing him. He no longer remembered dates or details, but when she or the girls entered the room, something in him lit up. "I don't need him to know I'm his wife," she said. "I just need to feel the connection." And I do. Those brief sparks of recognition became their miracles, proof that love could survive even the collapse of memory. Demi Moore continued to call often, her voice steady and compassionate. "You have to meet them where they are," she told CNN in late 2024. It became the family's mantra. They stopped trying to bring Bruce back to the man he once was, and instead learned to love the man he had become, quieter, gentler, still surrounded by laughter and touch. As of late 2025, Bruce spends his days in calm routine. His daughters visit regularly, reading stories, playing old songs, and telling him about their lives. Emma, now 49, still calls herself his care partner, not his caretaker. "He's still teaching me how to be strong," she says. "There will come a day when even those small gestures fade, when the disease finishes what it began." But until then, Bruce Willis remains surrounded by the one thing no illness can erase: the love of his family. To them, he is not a patient or a star. He is simply Dad. Bruce Willis once said, "You can't undo what's been done, but you can choose how you face it." Today, his family lives by those words. They can't change the course of his illness, but they can choose love over despair, presence over absence, grace over grief. At 70, Bruce Willis is no longer the action hero who saved the world on screen. Yet in silence, he continues to show what true strength looks like: the courage to keep going and the humility to let others carry you when you can no longer stand. How do you remember Bruce Willis? As the indestructible John McClane, or as the loving father now teaching the world about compassion? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that reveal the truth behind Hollywood's legends.